Welcome back, everybody. I'm back in the assembly room. As you can see, I'm sporting one of my new hats for the project, the 25D hat. I gave away a few of those at our last session, so I'm not gonna have those probably available for everybody, but just kind of the inner circle and some giveaways. But anyway, we're ready to do a little bit of sandblasting today and painting of a few extra parts. I'm going to try to get all my parts ready to go except for the fenders. Want to get everything put together and out of the way before I start in on the fenders. So I've got some radiator parts I got to do, and I got the covers for the transmission and crankcase and a few miscellaneous pieces here and there, the clutch cover that goes on the clutch. And so I'm going to get at that, and here's the video of me working on those items as I get them sandblasted and painted. Well, I'm out here ready to put on the final coat on a few of these parts, and I'm still using just plain enamel from John Deere. And the reason I use that is because I can't justify really putting a better paint on there, because all the other new old stock parts that are already been painted, they're just a plain enamel and nothing of any luster. So there's really no reason to paint the rest of the tractor an expensive paint. So I'm just going to put on the John Deere enamel that I've tinted back a little bit to make it a little bit more drab looking. So I've got all the parts hanging up here that I'm short, that I didn't get done last time, and I've got them primed, and I'm ready to put on the final coat. As you can see in the background, you might be able to see the flywheel back there that I got out, that gonna have to paint it too. So we'll get started on this. And that's pretty much it for that. I might go and put one more coat on the flywheel, but the rest of the parts I think are fine. I got to do a little work on the toolbox yet. I'm going to want to sand the tin on there a little bit, maybe smooth that up a bit. Okay, I'm back in the assembly room, and the pieces I just painted, well, some of them I just painted, some of them I didn't, but anyway, I'm going to coat the inside where it's inside the crankcase or the transmission case, so they don't rust and sweat and all that stuff and contaminate the oil. So I got a little glypol left here. Glypol, Glyptal. So this is the inside of the transmission cover. Trying to keep it off the matting surface for the gaskets, because if it would loosen up like normal paint would, why then you have an avenue for the grease to get out underneath the paint where it came off the metal. These are all original covers. I didn't paint the crankcase cover yet. I was gonna sand a little bit on the toolbox, try to smooth that up a little. I think the little bit I got on the matting surface isn't gonna make that much difference. I'm gonna do the inside of the radiator too. I hope that doesn't cause me trouble with it coming off into the antifreeze, but I'm gonna try it and see if it, because the tanks, those cast iron tanks just really like to rust. Coat the inside of these too. I think I got it pretty good. Okay, well that's it for that job. Now the next thing I'm going to do is put the front wheels on the tractor. So now I'm ready to put on the front wheels. I got to admit, these are not the wheels that I worked on before to weld the spokes up. This is actually off my other 25D, and they're HA 200s right there, the correct wheels for this tractor. And I wanted to use these though because they're really nice. You can't get any closer to new old stock than these wheels, and also they got a rubber tire mounted on it, so it'll roll around a lot easier. So uh, anyway, when I put them on the other tractor, when I did that a couple years ago, I put all new bearings and felts, and this is, it's got new felts in it that have been soaked in oil, and new retainer caps. I've got another set here like this. This is what it looks like. You drive that in after you put the inside bearing and race in and grease all that. Then you drive in the cup that holds the felts, and then the felts come. That's a 636R, and they fit right inside, and then they rub around the shoulder of this spindle right here, and that's supposed to seal out the dirt. That's the best they had back then. So anyway, I'm ready to put it on. The bearings have already been packed. I just put kind of a minimal amount just around the bearings because in hot weather or just sitting around, the grease will run out of the spokes because the spokes aren't exactly uh, sealed up when they're made. So it will leak grease. So I just put enough on for around the bearings so the bearings are lubricated good. Hmm. And my axle just wants to keep doing that. Maybe I'll let the jack down so it doesn't do that. I don't know, I don't want to knock it off the jack. So I've put the felts on here. I think that'll be easier to get on, and then slip on the wheel. Okay, now I'm ready to put the bearing in. Okay, now for putting the bearing in, like I said, the bearings are already packed. They're all new bearings. And then a new nut on the outside. And I might have a bad thread on there I have to file. It got a little nick on it at one time. That seems to be to the limit there. So I want to back them off a little bit. One. Seems to still be in there a little ways. It seems like everything's tightened up good. Might have to put in a smaller keyway in there. Can't quite get that one in there. Let's see if that one will go in there. Yeah. Tighten up the jam nut on the collar. And then I got a couple new old stock caps. A little paint in there. Well, I might have to go get the powder coated ones that were on the wheels. They don't want to go on there very easy. Anyway, I'll set up and do the other side. So the reason that wheel wouldn't go on is because it had the wrong bearing in it. I had put in a smaller inside diameter because the hub on my other 25, or the spindle on my other 25 was worn quite a bit, so I had found a bearing that had a smaller race on the inside. So I found a new bearing, another one out of my collection to replace it. But I just have to pack it again here. Putting some red tacky grease on it. Now I can try to clean myself up. And then drive the cap back in, the retainer cap for the felts. I'll put my felts on there first. Okay. As you can see, there's my flywheel behind me, ready to be put on. So I think we're ready to go on. One. Looks fine. When everything's new, there's not a lot of wear on stuff. Back off one. Well, I can't see the cotter pin, but anyway, that's kind of get the gist of installing the front wheels. We'll iron out the problems here, but off air. But rest assured, the next time you see it, it'll be down on all four wheels. It's starting to look like a tractor. And then for our next video, I think I'll put the radiator all together and install that on the tractor. Just keep watching the progress on my YouTube channel. And thanks for subscribing and also following me on Facebook. And we'll see you down the road.